All right. So my name is Gabriel Sepulveda-Sanchez, and I'm here with Sharon Abaud, right? I
Yes.
got it. Cool. Well, thanks for showing up, Sharon. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's a good time to have an immigration attorney on because of all these issues. And I remember
Mhm.
we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, but with all the ICE raids and all the stuff going on, I think I think as a lawyer, not even someone that's being chased down by ICE, but as
Mhm.
someone that just wants to learn, like, you know, what's going on and how what are people's rights. So, um, just starting off with that, can you tell me how the ICE raids affected your business so far?
For the main part, it's affected me in that people are scared. It's creating a lot of chaos. Existing clients want to talk to us all the time. We've had to provide a lot of hand holding. Um, and then we also have a high volume of new clients wanting help right away. It's created a lot of fear.
Hmm.
Um, it's created fear. There are a lot of people who qualify for a case but are scared to file a case now. So it's really affected us in many ways. We don't do a lot of detention or removal work, so we haven't felt the direct impact of the ICE raids or detention. And most of our clients haven't had an issue. We have a few, but the ones who have had, have been picked up, they're ones who we probably wouldn't have been surprised in, with
Hmm.
prior administrations. But I would say that the fear that all of this is causing is the biggest impact that we've seen
Has
at
it
our firm.
messed? Is there like been a challenge with sales now because of because of the fear, or have you seen actually like an increase in more clients coming to your firm? How's that?
We get a lot of calls. People are scared to start a case because of the same reason. Like, why am I going to expose myself to immigration now with
Mhm.
everything happening? It's not the right time. I'll wait it out. Um, and then our job is to convince them that actually the best thing they can do is file a case because if
Mhm.
they do get picked up, it's better. You have better chances if you already have something legitimate pending.
Yeah.
So that's been the biggest objection that we've had to overcome with sales, and we've also noticed a lot of waves. For example, in January, February, I mean, we reached peak numbers in calls. It was huge, and then
That's
it dulled
crazy.
down a bit, and then the ice raids come, and then that picks everything up. But it doesn't necessarily mean more calls
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily mean that everyone is hiring us. It's just that everyone needs to talk to us now.
Definitely.
Um,
So you mentioned that it's actually better. So someone's undocumented and they're worried about getting picked up by ICE. You mentioned that it's actually better, even though they're scared to sign up with you. It's actually better. Like, why is that? I'm just curious. Like, why is it better to get get in the system and do your paperwork? Does that really help? I'm just curious. Like, is this another lawyer figuring that out? Yeah.
well, it's really case by case. There are clients that really they don't have any options. Most of our clients, what we're really skilled at is talking to the client, learning their story, and making them fit within a case type, right? With
Mhm.
based on their story. Um, and it's been hectic.
So as far as you said, define a story, what's the most like not cookie cutter, but what's like the most routine things? Like, hey, you know what? We can fit you in this story. Someone's undocumented. They want to be legitimately here. They don't want to get picked up by ICE. Like, what's the category? You think like, okay, this one's like a catch-all, whatever it is. Like,
So our and I guess this may vary from, every firm may be a little different, but for us, especially I think the way we market, we
mm,
attract the main case type that we attract um, is clients who are in a partnership, in a relationship, or married to a
mhm,
U.S. citizen or resident, and there's some level of abuse, not
mhm,
always physical abuse. It could be emotional or
right.
financial, but there's some level of like manipulation or threats used against them because of their status.
Mhm,
And so that's our main case type. Sometimes they can't fit particularly in the mold. For example, maybe I have a VAWA client who's married a U.S. citizen. He or she is very abusive. but they're not legally married. So now I can't fit them in the VAWA mold, but maybe, so then I start to maybe ask some trafficking questions because maybe
Mhm.
this same abusive relationship will fall under a T visa case. So
Interesting.
we try to, that's why I think it's really important to, when you screen to, this is the way I look at it, is to like ask questions, right? Structure the intake, but um, really make sure we give the client a chance to talk and listen because a lot of the times they fit somewhere.
Learn the
A
story.
lot of the times, yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned the whole marriage thing because I think this is a myth. I think a lot of people believe, and I even thought it was true. I thought that if you're an American citizen and you marry someone that's not, they're automatically American citizens. If you got a like that, so that's not, because I always thought that was the case.
I wish, right?
Yeah,
I
right.
wouldn't have a job.
Actually, yeah, you wouldn't wish that,
Yeah,
but
no. Well, I
yeah.
mean, I love my clients. So
Mhm.
if there is something that even if it means less clients for me, but it's better for
Of
everyone,
course, yeah,
I'm all for it.
yeah,
Um, that's what brought
yeah,
me into this field is
yeah.
like I love my clients. But if that's true.
Mhm.
That's a myth. And I've heard that before that people think that I actually had a client come to me once that, he consulted with me and they made the mistake of claiming to be a citizen.
Mhm.
Like they were like, yeah, I'm a citizen. The wife showed up. I'm a citizen. And in under immigration law, there are huge consequences if you make a false claim to U.S. citizenship, like huge. You might never have
Wow.
status. And so they were convinced. They really thought that because she was married to a US citizen, that she was now a citizen.
She was that convinced.
And yeah, she was
She was
that
just walking around
convinced.
like she was like I'm a
Yeah.
U.S. citizen.
Yeah. And so
Back
she
up.
went, and I
Yeah,
mean, it can
yeah.
have huge consequences. We can try to argue, but
Yeah.
there's not a lot, it gets complicated. But anyway, to speak to that point, no, it's not true. It's not that simple. Some clients might have, like, for example, if you're married to a U.S. citizen and you entered with a visa and overstayed, it might be a clean case depending on obviously other factors. Um, there are people who have to go out abroad and risk not being let back in. But that's
Mhm.
why we're always trying to find a way to get them to stay here and adjust their status here in the US instead of having to leave. Because once they leave to go to the interview, it gets
Mhm.
messy.
So if I'm,
Yeah.
say I'm an American citizen and I want to marry someone from out of the country, what do I got to do to make sure they're legit?
So
That some of my friends actually probably would want to know that because I think some of them are living,
they're
they're
traveling.
traveling to Colombia and find, my friend Philip he might want to hear this.
Okay. All right, Philip. Here you go,
There might be a
Philip.
lot of guys that want to hear this. So I'm
Yeah.
just curious, like, say you want to meet someone out of the country,
Mhm.
and how does it work?
Depending on their history, right? So let's assume that it's a clean case. Maybe they've never been to the US or they've come, but they came on a visitor
Mhm.
visa, left 2 weeks later. If it's something like, if we're talking about that case, we're talking the most basic,
Like
simple
they came here to
case.
party in Vegas or something, and they met some guy, or
Or no, or
uh,
maybe like they met in let's use
okay,
Colombia as an
okay,
example.
yeah,
They meet in Colombia, and in the past before meeting, she had come here on a visitor visa a couple
hmm
times, or maybe she hasn't. But let's assume it's a clean case, no other issues, no other run-ins with the law or with
hmm
immigration. Then the first step is to file. So the husband would file a petition for her. That takes about 9 months to a year, and then once it gets approved, they have to take an additional step, go to their interview.
yeah,
We're talking about like a year and a half process, possibly,
okay.
depending on the country.
And
But
then what's the not the guarantee to getting it, but so you have to file a petition, and you got to do an interview. So like, what are the criteria for like, okay, yeah, she's a citizen now or something like what?
so if once approved, when she comes to the U.S., they'll give her a sealed envelope. When she comes to the U.S., officer at the border is going to review everything. He'll stamp her passport. That's the day that she's a resident. From the not the date that she is approved. It's from the date that she comes into the U.S. with her paperwork.
Okay,
Um, and then if she's married to a U.S. citizen, after 3 years, she can apply for citizenship, but it's not automatic. She does have to
hmm
apply.
okay, I got
She
it.
has to apply. And if she obtains status any other way because she's married to a resident or maybe a U.S. citizen son or anything like that, then we're talking about 5 years before. So the benefit of 3 years to file for citizenship is only if you're married to a
So
citizen.
it's basically it's not that easy.
It
Yeah,
is
it's not.
not easy. I
Yeah.
don't know who
I don't know.
invented.
I
Who
thought that
said
was the
that,
thing where you
but
just get married to someone. If you say I'm going to marry her, she's
yeah,
in, but that's not.
I hear that a lot, and I'm just like, I
Nah,
think it's a common
that's cool that
misconception.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about it because that's a lot of people. I mean, there's someone that's another
Yeah.
lawyer. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
My friend, he's a professional baseball player. He lives in the Bronx. He's Dominican, American citizen, but Dominican background. And he married his wife. He met someone in the Dominican Republic, and they're married. Now she lives here. So I'm under the assumption that in that situation there are U.S. citizens, but no, she's probably just waiting, getting her paperwork and all the process done.
I mean, I'm not sure how she did it. It could
Yeah.
be that she entered as a resident. It could
Yeah.
be that I don't know. And
Yeah.
maybe we don't want to.
No, I know.
Yeah,
My friend's
but
cool.
yeah.
You don't worry about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. He's probably
Like,
like,
you
"What
want
are
to give his
doing,
name
man?
and address?
Cut that off." No, yeah.
Just
He's
kidding.
cool, dude. Oh, that's cool. Awesome. So how long have you had your business for?
10 years. How about you?
Same thing. About
10
9
years?
to 10 years. So, what I want to ask you is this, 'cause I know we both talked about scaling law firms and the growth and the challenges that come with that. Like, what's been like the biggest thing you learned in 10 years in business, like to grow and like really go to the next level? What have you kind of learned about yourself and what it's kind of taken to get to where you're at now?
Wow. I've learned so much at different stages, right? Like, I
Yeah.
guess every stage has a different lesson. But I think the biggest one is that if I don't grow as a person, my business is stunted. Like, everyone's like, my personal development, my personal growth is crucial. Like, without it, so really trying to improve as a person, every day, and working on myself, and understanding that I always have room to grow. I mean, I think that's been my biggest takeaway. There's always room to grow. There's always room for more. So how about you?
That's a big thing.
What would
No,
you
yeah, I
say?
agree 100%. And no, we talked about how like going to the masterminds, like Tony Robbins, some of my friends think,
It's
you're
hocus
wasting your
pocus.
money on Tony
Yeah.
Robbins stuff. I'm like, for me, I love that stuff.
I do too.
But it's so true. Like, Tony Robbins said this, and I read it in other books. Like, the limitations on the business are tied to the limitations on the owner's psychology. And it's so true. Like, it's all about how if you're growing as a leader, your team's going to grow. And if you're becoming a better person, a better lawyer, a better executive, whatever it is, you're going to attract better people in your life.
That's right.
I noticed if you ask even some of my guys that have been here for 3+ years, they'll tell you right now that this is a completely different firm than it was 2 years ago. And
How so? How would you say?
Just more mature. It's just more mature. I think if you watch some of even the old podcasts we've done, probably a little more mature conversations, So I still like to obviously enjoy myself, and, but I think it's more professionalism, more, a little bit more. I would just say more wisdom, a little more maturity with everything. In my team, as I've grown up, as you grow up, even the guys that have been me, they've kind of grown up too. My top lawyer, Eric, I've seen him. He's not the same guy, and it's all about the leaders and what kind of example you set for people. So it's so true.
And how do you make sure, as you're speaking of team, so how do you make sure you're growing with your people, that you're not growing apart?
That's a good question. I think sometimes there could be that point where you're growing and the person that got you to the person that was on your team now and where you're going, they might not be the right person for where you want to go. Luckily for right now, I've went through that process already where I shed skin and I outgrown some certain people here that just didn't share the vision and the culture I wanted. And that's just life. It's just like relationships, like anything. You might be with someone that's a good partner for that, but as you're growing, you're trying to develop yourself, you realize that this person's might not be the best person for you, and it's just life. They might be a different fit for another. Doesn't mean they're bad people. This means that maybe you're not the right person for this business, or you're not the right person to be, working.
Aligned. Yeah,
exactly. So thankfully, right now, my team's in alignment. My second in command we're just based on we're all on the same page. I've shared with him my vision for what I want to do, and we're both buying into that. Yeah. You have to share your vision with your team. They got to know where we're going and why we're going there, and what you're trying to do. And you got to let them know. And if they're not on board with that, and they're not seeing it, then maybe I'm not the business you want to work for, or maybe, it just might not be a good fit. And so you have to get people to buy into your vision.
How do you share your vision? How do you get them to buy in?
Every quarter I do a all hands meeting, and this is something I learned from the masterminds I go
Mhm.
to. And then there's an all hands meeting that I share with the team. So I hear remind them what our short term goals are for the business on an annual basis. It could be annual revenue, annual settlements we do, new hires, what we're trying to do, marketing plans. And then I tied into my 5-year vision. Okay, in 5 years, this is where I'm seeing, and this is why. This is people want to know what it's in it for them.
Right.
It's natural. So this is why I want to do this, and this
Mhm.
is why you're going to win with us here. We're going to win together.
Right.
So I make sure it's very important to communicate that with your team and to for them to remember that. So I have those quarterly all hands meetings to keep reminding them of what we're doing and why. So when they have this project we're doing a big KPI project, and we have a system called Trainial. So where all our processes, we have recordings, and so if a new hire comes on, we have recorded videos on how to train them and SOPs. And the reason we're doing that, it's not to create more work, just do tedious work. Because like, hey, what we're trying to do when we're onboarding so many clients a month, we're going to need to have a system for onboarding and training people.
Right.
And that's why we're doing this. And this is
Right.
why it ties into our vision. So you have to communicate that vision and be consistent with it. And always know that sometimes like people are in your life now and they might not be they might not be there in the future, but if you can tell them your vision, you can
Right.
figure out who's on your team and who's bought in or not.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really important. And as an executive, how do you come up with that vision? Like, what do you do? What do you do? Do you travel somewhere to figure this out? Do you just take a day, or do you talk to your team? How do you kind of sit down and document all this?
Every year, like before, like, so for our 2025 vision we had, or like whatever short-term goals, like I had my 5-year vision like 2 years ago, and I really sat down and I was like, okay, where do I want this business to be? How do I see it? And where are we going to go? And you really have to like, there's thinking time. And I think it's really important that owners and CEOs have that thinking time to really visualize their future. And then when you have that visual, then you have to kind of break it down. And okay, then in order to if we want to be here in 5 years, what do we need to accomplish this year? And even get to even more detail, then you have to figure out, okay, if you need to accomplish this in 1 year to get to the 5-year thing, what do we need to do every quarter? So we talked about the traction book, like the traction, I read that, like that really breaks down as far as like goal setting. And I think it's a big mistake. A lot of owners, they keep their vision up here, but you have to articulate it with your team and you have to write it down because it's like a map. Right. And I think we talked about having similar personalities, right? Like, and with entrepreneurs, I feel like could be scatterbrains, and like we can get off focus sometimes. So it's important having that written down. I don't know if we have it written down, somebody rolled it up, but I literally walk in and I see this in my office and I see it in my room because that keeps me focused on, it's like a map, like a compass. Because if I don't focus on that, then the way my brain works is I'll end up getting stuck doing something that doesn't move the needle. Getting some new idea will come up.
To see the next shiny object and
so we have entrepreneurs have shiny object syndrome. So having that 5-year vision, having the 10-year vision, it's a living document. Things change. We do the with Crisp and the 8-figure firm masterminds we do. I've learned that having those coaches helps. The most successful people in business have coaches. Some of the guys that that are my mentors, they pay a lot of money for masterminds. So because instead of wasting money and time trying to figure it out on your own, why not learn from someone that's done it?
And I think there's accountability to it too, right? You're having to report back to someone and show there's something to that. It's like work, who's going to be in better shape, the person with the personal trainer who they report to every day, or the person who's kind of winging it on their own?
True. I have the trainer. I do the superhuman thing I'm trying to work on. And even then, like, I track what I eat, and he's texting me the other day, like, dude, you're over your calories. I'm like, bro, I was in New York.
You're like, at least I'm honest.
I was in New York for a month, for a week. Yeah. So, but you have that, and it kind of reminds you, like, all right, get back on track. So accountability is really big. As far as with your business, like, what's your, like, as far as you don't have to share your vision with us. It could be a private thing or anything, but like, where do you really What are you trying to like break through right now? As far as like, hey, this is where I want to go, but I got to get through this kind of barrier.
I mean, we want to serve more people and be
Mm-hmm.
able to handle more case types.
Yeah.
We get really good at what we do,
Mm-hmm.
So I believe in being specific and, being as particular as possible and then expanding. So that's where we are. We just added an additional case type.
Nice.
But it took a while because I needed to make sure that we were ready for it. You
Yeah.
have to make sure that you um, have the right people, that you build out the right systems and processes,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just let it run. So my goal is to expand and
Yeah.
serve every type of client that I could serve. Like I want to be the go-to hub for immigration.
Awesome. That's cool. No, you're right. With you can have all these things, but it requires a team. So I was talking to my operations, my director of operations today about like, hey, if we want to do this much more in inventory, like how much more people are we going to need? So those are
Right.
things
The
you have to think
logistics.
about.
Yeah.
You want to. I'm a big believer in if you build it, they will come.
That's
Building a
right.
team. When we
That's
came in
right.
this office right here, like it was too much big of a space. But
When did you move in?
October,
Okay.
yeah. So you have to have that faith and like, you know what? No, like get in now and it's gonna come. And
It's true.
that's what the entrepreneurs like you and me, we have to have that belief and confidence because the other guys and if everyone was like us, there wouldn't be everyone would be a business person. They're more like, man, we don't need that much space. They don't need that much space yet. But you have to have that
You're
vision
not creating the room
and
for it.
yeah,
You're
and
not.
you
You
have
got to
to
make the room. You got to call
yeah.
it out. Yeah.
So it's important to have those types of people. And
Hmm.
we talked about like that yin and yang as far as an operations person, the CEO, which I'm a believer after experiencing it. The most critical, there's two people in your firm, their business, this executive assistant and the operations director or COO. Um, those are your yin and yang. You need those people because they're complete opposite of you, but they balance your weaknesses are their strengths and their weaknesses are your strengths. And then that's when you guys come together, you guys create cool stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about your lives because I know you inspired me to do more lives on
Yeah.
my
Yeah. Lives are
Instagram stuff.
great.
I noticed you do a lot of social media. Why do you tell me about your experience with doing lives?
It's funny because in my personal life, I'm not a big fan of social. Like I don't. I'm kind of a lurker. I just kind of look. Don't really want to be like seen in the
Mhm.
private side, but on the business side, I think it's the best way to like deliver a message. I mean, um, that's how the right people find you. Uh, I didn't start doing social media, I think, until like 2019, 2020. Um, I had been in practice for about 5 years before I actually started to turn my business into a business. Before
Okay.
that, I told you I really love my clients and I
Mhm.
and who I help. And so I was doing a lot of free work,
Mhm.
not charging enough. And
That's
so it's
not
just me
yeah.
slaving away and I couldn't understand why I couldn't get it done. Um, once I was able to turn it into a business and start
Mhm.
speaking my message, going live, posting
Mhm.
on different platforms, that's when I started to see real change because I was attracting the people that were meant for me and that
Mhm.
I was meant for.
That's awesome.
Because they get to really, they're not just window shopping. They're not like going on Google and saying, top 5 restaurants. No,
Yeah.
like people who come to me sometimes sounds weird to say. I still kind of like
Mhm.
sometimes they'll drive from like San Jose. I'm in Torrance, which is like a city in LA. And sometimes they'll drive all the way from San Jose or
You told me
Vegas
that. That's cool.
just to come see me. And
That's awesome.
they treat me like I'm a celebrity,
Yeah.
which is hilarious to me because I'm like, it's just me. It's like little old me in my old hometown. But they talk to me like because they've been following me for years.
Yeah.
And for some reason they feel connected to me. And that's kind of the beauty of social media is I believe in abundance and there's
Mhm.
enough of everything for everyone. And when you put yourself out there, the right people come to you. And so maybe I'm not right for another person, but they're gonna find their match, right? The right,
That's
and
awesome.
so
Yeah.
it's just this belief that I'm just very present. I love the lives because they get, the recorded is great too. You get to, you
Yeah.
deliver your message more clearly, but in the lives, you kind of go where the clients want you to go. Like,
Yeah.
where the people like they're not clients necessarily, but you get the feel, right? And so you're just going live. They're seeing your like live reaction. They're
Mhm.
engaging with you. Um, they see your human side that way. You know, they see who you are. They get to know you. And I mean, Google Ads isn't going to do that for you.
No, that's so cool you're saying that because it's one of my so one of the biggest settlements I had, right? It was a $10 million. I'll talk about this trucking settlement I had,
Mhm.
and I read a practice guide from Joe Freed. If he sees this, that's cool. But I read his practice guide, and I was like, I'm gonna follow everything this guy said in his practice guide, and I getting a great result from that from just learning from him.
Mhm.
And I remember talking to him at a conference in Miami, and I said, I just want to let you know, like I got, a great settlement and I did a great work for that client that I got that result for. They're like family. They love me
Mhm.
today. They sent me like 5 clients in like the last few weeks. I said,
I love this.
that practice guy helped me and I got a great result for my clients and I'm getting it's the ROI. Still getting clients from them. And he said, you were meant to have that case. Whatever it was, like
That's right.
you attracted that case. They
Yeah.
trusted you. You went out to them. They chose you to have that. So when you said about attracting that, it's so true. Like you're not everyone's cup of tea.
No,
I'm not everyone's cup of tea.
it's okay.
So you have to, when you create this content and they see your personality, they vibe with you. And they're like, you know what? I'm gonna go to this guy because I think about we always have that like man why they could have went to this guy. This guy's got big numbers, but they chose you. They trusted you and they liked you.
I,
So that used to inspire me. I gotta
yeah.
I gotta do that
I hear
more.
clients say that all the time. Like something, I just had a feeling that I had to call you. I just had this feeling. Like people,
Yeah,
and that's what you're connecting to. You're connecting to heart, like,
I like
and
that.
they get to know you. So
That's really cool. So
yeah.
yeah, and then I think some of us get in our head like I don't want to do live. Like I know for me there's so many PI lawyers out
Yeah.
here and I'm like oh man, these guys it's like flooded since Instagram. I'm like oh I don't want to look at this stuff. But you're right. Like there's only
The right
one you.
people will look at it
Mhm.
though.
But there's
Yeah.
only one you.
Right.
So they don't know who this is. And it's like, but they see you and you're talking and they like your personality
Yeah.
and you're trustworthy. Yeah.
Or they're scrolling and then they see the right thing at the right time, right? And you
Yeah.
happen to be giving that message. Like, how many people do you follow that are about personal growth? I bet a lot. I do.
Oh,
I
yeah.
follow like every other post I see is about personal
Yeah.
development. It doesn't mean I don't like any of them. I like all of them. I'm
Yeah.
receiving all those messages, and
hmm
just you're a part of it. So
As far as signing up clients through people you met through and the social media stuff you're
mhm.
doing, is it a big percentage of your monthly
I think
people you're doing?
most of it. Well, I get a lot of. The thing is that I get a lot of client referrals now too,
hmm
which is great. I always love those too.
Yeah.
Um, But I wouldn't have had all those client referrals if I hadn't exposed myself, right?
Yeah.
I need to tell people who I am, otherwise I don't have any clients.
hmm
So, you got to start somewhere,
Yeah.
and you just keep expanding from there. And obviously the client referrals, speak for themselves. I mean, I don't know, I always laugh at this because I think I followed it the first 5 years of my practice,
hmm
where they say do great work and the clients will follow. But you can't just like sit there and wait for the clients to come. You got to start.
Yeah. You have to market yourself.
You do have to market yourself and then do good work,
hmm
right? Don't like fall back, but
Yeah.
obviously good work and tell everyone that you do great
Mhm.
work.
I think I'm assuming you started off like me, where we didn't do any of this stuff. You just hit the ground running, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But for you, it's different. That's why it's so interesting to me
Mhm,
because at least for me, all I had to pay for was like, $300 in rent for Regis, right?
mhm,
And maybe some bar fees once a year.
mhm.
I didn't have a lot of overhead. In your case, because we're flat fee, right?
Yeah.
We get paid,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
and for you, you do these contingency fee agreements, and
Yeah.
you need to
Yeah.
kind of like invest in it. So how do you do that when you don't even have capital yet?
Man, like yeah, the beginning when I first started the business, it was just you would sign up a case and you knew that was future money coming in
Mhm.
like 6 months. I did not have the capital like to handle the cases I have now. I didn't have the capital for it back when I was like 29, 30
Mm.
years old. Um, but I think like when I started the practice and I just hit the ground running and I was like, I need more cases, I need more settlements. When you build up an inventory enough and you're settling cases every month for good value for the clients, eventually you build that capital up. Eventually you build a little war chest where you can invest
Mhm.
in the big money cases you need. So most of the personal injury cases you handle don't require a lot of capital, but the ones that the wrongful death cases, the trucking accidents, when someone's really like catastrophically injured,
Mhm.
you already know, plan on spending, a bunch of money on experts, and if this goes to trial, it's gonna cost you north of $100,000. So it took years to get to that point where I was able to like invest and finance those cases. So before, when I was first starting off, like in a couple of years in, I was me, just financing my own files. The money I made, I just invested it back in the business,
Yeah,
put it
to
in.
put it back in.
As you grow more, the business gets more mature. You have good numbers. You're putting up good revenue numbers. The profit and loss statements look good. Then there's certain companies, there's
Mhm.
Esquire Bank, that can actually help you have a case cost advance line where you can leverage that line of credit for case costs. So if you have a $200,000 trial and you want to leverage that line of credit, then you can do that. So, but it took a long time to actually get to that point. But in the beginning, it was basically just sign up a bunch of cases. I did some hourly work, like I did some like business litigation, because that's what I started off, and I started off in business
Oh, there you
litigation.
go.
So I
Yeah.
took on some hourly cases or cash flow, did some criminal
Mhm.
cases a little bit, but once I had enough PI files, I
Right.
knew PI was my
Okay. So
passion, so I
even when
got
you're
rid of
taking
it.
those other cases, you're like, this is just to get the cash.
I
You
just
knew you were gonna
yeah,
do
my
PI.
the first like year I did that, and after
Mhm.
that, I was just
Just
like a
built the
PI. But
yeah.
then you have enough cases you're able to settle. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's an interesting business model. You got to have a stomach for it. Sometimes even with the team we have and the overhead, you're like, geez, that's why we have our projection
You
meetings,
have
and
to,
yeah,
yeah.
so it's different, but you make it happen. It's all, I like this better than
Mhm.
billing. I remember when I did commercial litigation, it was like tracking the numbers and billing, and like this is, I like it better. It's actually in a way easier for me than taking on a bunch of hourly clients and stuff. So
How were you so clear that PI, you were gonna do PI?
the first firm I worked at, it was a business litigation firm. So we did a lot of, I think I told you this when I was like 26 years old. My firm, we were a mid-sized commercial litigation firm headquartered in New York, and then we had an office in Newport Beach.
Mhm.
And I was like 26 years old. The CEO was and the founder was like flying me out with him to New York, and
Mhm.
we were sitting like at hedge fund meetings, and I was like 26, not knowing what was going on. I was
Mhm.
like, I don't know what's going on with this. I was just taking notes like I understood what was going on, but
Mhm.
it was cool. I had that experience. Um, and then I got a lot of good litigation experience from there. So I knew from the get go, I was confident in
Mhm.
litigation. I liked it. I liked the lawsuit process, and I liked taking depositions and law in motion. I got a better job offer at a insurance defense firm when I was about 20 years old. And I realized then and there, that I did not feel good about what I was doing.
Mhm.
Uh, the way the insurance defense firms work was like your wins come from, hey, someone's hurt, you have $100,000 to settle,
Mhm.
but if you have authority for $100,000 from the insurance adjuster, but I was able to settle it for like 50 grand. Yay. And I was like, I did not feel good about it. I'm like, well, I knew I could have gave you could have gave this person some more money.
Right.
And as an insurance defense lawyer, if you're able to settle cases for less than what you had authority for, that's the win. And I remember just having
That's
files on my desk, like a dog bite,
yeah.
kid got his, a bad dog bite or his scalp. I don't know, you graphic, a scalp was just peeled us, ugly
Mm.
stuff. I seen
Oh,
bad
I
stuff.
see.
And I just knew, I was like, this is not what I want to do. And I would feel bad. I genuinely just felt bad for the clients
Yeah.
that we had lawsuits against the insured. And then the big decision that happened was my dad worked at a cemetery at the time, and he sent me a wrongful death case. And I told him, Dad, I'm an insurance defense lawyer. I don't do this stuff. And I ended up saying, you know what, I'm just curious about it. Let me send it to my friend's a plaintiff's lawyer. And I told my friend, hey, you know what, let me like work on this with you. I'm just curious about plaintiff's work, and what I can kind of help out with it. The practice I was at, they were winding down. They were older guys who were retiring. Well, we ended up settling that case. It was a jaywalking case where someone got killed,
Mhm.
and we settled it for a lot of money. And I remember thinking, wow, this didn't take, we did a demand letter, did a little work. I felt great about taking care of the family and the result we got, and we made really good money too. And I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I think this is. I felt good about the work I'm
Mhm,
doing,
mhm.
and I've got to help people out. And right then and there, I'm like, I'm gonna do my own thing. And then that's when I knew I wanted to do personal injury. I love it. You can change lives. It's nice. It's just fun going into trial with against an insurance company and this because anything can happen. You know,
Mhm.
you might hit them. I've been on both sides of that. But
Right.
yeah,
That's interesting what you said, though. Your win wasn't aligning with the company's win. So, I mean,
no,
that's like
I get so excited from
yeah.
settlements here, and not because I'm an owner, but it's more because like, man, we're really making an impact against the insurance industry, and everyone likes to win. Oh, we got this client $100,000 settlement, or this client 500,000. Like it just feels good.
Exciting.
Like and people come in their checks and they're happy
Mhm.
and they got their medical expenses taken care of and they're gonna buy a new home and it's just more
Mhm.
fulfilling. I think it's more righteous.
Mhm.
So I'm happy with what I do.
You
Yeah.
have your second office. You're
So
in NorCal too,
we're
right?
headquarters in Los Angeles here. I grew up in Stockton, California. So our second office is in Stockton and
Mhm.
that's staff. I have my dad working with us. We have our paralegal over there.
Mhm.
We're actually getting a lot of business in Northern California. Just from some of the biggest cases we have come from there. A lot of trucking, the I-5, 99. There's a lot of trucking accidents that happen. So we have a good reputation over there. And then I'm licensed in New York. We have a satellite office in New York.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been a journey for sure. So I remember we were talking about your business model and you leverage a lot of remote people too. And I have a remote team also. There's like 5 of us that are remote.
International or domestic or
I have one person in Argentina, one person in Colombia, and I have one in Colombia is actually a U.S. citizen, and he moved
okay.
over there. Yeah, so he wanted to move to Colombia. He's a case manager.
Did you meet him in Colombia or you met him
And I
when he
met
was
him in your
here?
states, yeah. And then I
Okay.
got 2 people in Vegas, yeah. So I think with what I learned with remote talent is I think there's a different views of thought. Some people think you want everyone here. People aren't going to work good from home. And then there's some people are like, I'm out of great. Some of my all stars are from the working remote. My experience has been that it's all about the person. Like
Mhm.
you can have one of my top case managers is in Colombia right now. He's a U.S. citizen, but he lives in Colombia and he's doing great, great. But I also see the other people's experiences with hiring remote talent has been kind of bad. So
Mhm.
you can share with us about your team and having a good
Yeah.
good amount of your team also being
I think we
remote.
have the opposite
Hmm.
situation because
Yeah.
my off physically, I mean, most of my team is
Hmm.
virtual.
Yeah.
Um, we're a little bit over 50 people right now, our team,
Hmm.
and I think 10 of us are in the US.
That's cool.
Most we're all over,
Yeah.
but most are abroad. And actually, the first person I ever hired for the firm, um, he was from Nicaragua, and it was just us for a while. I think I grew my remote team
Mhm.
before I grew the office team, and I don't know. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's amazing. We're actually gonna go to Cartagena in November
That's awesome. That's
as a
really cool.
team and meet each other for the first time. So I'm excited about that.
I want to
But
go out there. I'll visit too. That's
yes, yeah, I know.
fine.
I'm
Yeah.
it's gonna be fun. I'm excited to finally meet everyone. And
Yeah.
it's weird, I feel like I know everyone.
That's
It's like I
cool.
feel like I know everyone. I'm probably gonna be surprised by everyone's height, I don't know. When you like everyone's here.
How do you build so for me, like I think the challenge, like what I've noticed, because I have a hybrid type of firm, like I have some remote talent. I've done it where we had a good half of our team was remote at one point. Now I'm, push her in person. Like for me, culture and that, like, how do you, I feel like the synergy's been really good right now with most of the team being in the
Mm.
office. And I'm not saying what you're doing, that's your preference, different business model. Like, how do you build a culture like with most of your team being remote? What have you done to help scale your firm with remote team and build and keep that the culture going?
We're still working on that,
Hmm.
it's but we're getting better. I think
Hmm.
one big thing is um promoting the leaders, right? So when I see someone who has
Hmm.
talent, I put them on that path right away,
Yeah.
and I make sure that we're aligned.
Yeah.
We communicate regularly. Um, we have our dream acronym, which to make sure we share the same
Cool.
values, and And we're gonna have more retreats because I
Yeah,
do think that human contact is important.
it is.
It's probably the only missing element, but it's strange. Like I really feel connected to my team.
It's good. No,
I
they're
feel
good
very
talent.
connected. I can't tell exactly how I
Mhm.
did it. I don't, but it's just it's evolving into something.
An all
So
star in Argentina or Colombia is going to be an all star. They're good people. Like they're good people there. They're going to be good people here. I'm
right,
a believer in
I
that. So
agree with
like you
that.
can't. There's not one right way. Sometimes I'm like I just prefer because I like seeing my team and I like seeing them and being with them. But you cannot deny that my top talent has been it's remote
Yeah,
and so good people are everywhere around the world and you just gotta like
yeah.
you said attract them.
That's how I feel. 'Cause I feel like why I used to put up
Mhm,
paralegal positions, and
mhm.
I'm in immigration law, so the market can get very saturated. Most paralegals in immigration law, they want to work here. They don't want to
Mhm.
work in the suburbs. Like they want to be
Yeah.
closer, right? So I was having that challenge. Originally, that's why I started looking out because I was like, why am I limiting? Like we live in this remote world, and like, why am I limiting myself to talent here? Like I'm like basically putting myself in a situation where
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, I just need someone to fill the seat, and
Yeah.
whoever lands it. Whereas if I just say, okay, everyone's come all, like,
Yeah.
I really, 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 I'm choosing people not based on their location, but based on their talent and their
Mhm.
ability, they
Yeah.
deserve to be here,
Yeah,
like, because
exactly.
it's all I look at is
Yeah.
what they have, their experience, their knowledge.
Yeah. Have you heard of Bonusly? Yeah. Have you heard of Bonusly? So Bonusly is something I learned from the masterminds I've been in. A lot of guys do them. So Bonusly is like it's an application you can put through Slack where it's like there's a point system. So say one of your teammates is, filled in for someone when they're sick or went above and beyond on something. Well, Bonusly, it's good for culture because you can give like there's like virtual points. So you want to give them a 50 virtual points for covering phones for the hour. And you can tie it, you can force it to tie to a core value. And so one of your core values is your firm. Ours is like team first, right?
That's
So
so
and
cool.
it's cool because the virtual team is engaged with that. And even not only that, the in-house team, they love it. And then after so many points, you can cash in on Amazon or buy gifts online. There's like a little bonusly inventory, bonusly store you can use your points on. And as long as you budget, you can put whatever you want $1,000 bonusly
Right.
budget, or you want to whatever, you can do whatever you want. And those points, the team gives points to each other.
That is so
You gotta
cool.
do it. Change everyone
Oh
loves it
my
here.
gosh, I need to look at that.
And
Yeah,
then you can do like it's just good for morale and
that
culture.
is great. We actually have a channel on Slack where we have
Yeah.
I told you the dream acronym for
Yeah.
our core
Yeah.
values,
Mhm.
um and we have a channel that's the dream channel, and so
Yeah.
every time we always like give kudos on that channel.
Yeah.
But
Now do bonus.
that's
I
you
know,
just
but
like
yeah,
yeah,
that's what I
that's
learned
great.
from the other people and
Yeah.
stuff. And my team loves it. You can and you're allocated every team member has so many points a month, and you got to give them away. So you're
Oh, so
yeah,
people want like and everyone on the team can give points, or is it
everyone
just
can team get points.
leaders?
Everyone
Okay.
points can get points. Yeah, you can
So
give yeah.
like that works because then we're seeing things that we wouldn't see otherwise,
So
right?
there's
Because
things
we don't
that
see
even though
every
they
little
might have
thing.
you might not have felt that someone's took over or helped you out, but they're doing something.
Yeah.
So and then the remote team loves it too. That's a good way of getting
That's
engaged.
amazing because there's so much we don't see, right?
So that's what I mean. I learned these from all the masterminds you go to, where you go
You
to and
learn
stuff. So
different
yeah,
depending on what your obstacle is, right? You receive different it's like, we were talking about reading Traction. I was like, "Yeah, I read it a few times," but every time I read it, I have another takeaway because I'm in a different
yeah. You can read
stage of my business, you know?
that book you look at now compared to when I read it a few years
Yeah,
ago. It's a
it means
different.
something different. Like, you're gonna take something else from it.
We talked about immigration hearings. Sometimes you go to immigration hearings and there's not a lot of like jury trials like
No.
with personal injury cases and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yours is mostly jury
It's
trials?
where, well, I mean,
Oh.
that's once if we can't settle it pre-litigation, then it goes into litigation,
Mhm.
and can't settle it in the litigation process, then we go to jury trial and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely a different business model. And then our
Mhm.
cases, we talked about this where you pretty much get paid up front or in monthly payments,
Right.
right? Where us, we don't get paid until we settle that case. So it can be 6 months to a couple of years till we see any money coming in.
How
Yeah.
do you, that's difficult and when it's years. I mean, how do you keep the client trusting you throughout that whole
You
process?
gotta
Because that can be
you have to communicate with them and let them know and um sometimes they might not hear if they're not hearing from you, they assume nothing's getting done.
Mhm.
So we make sure to affirm that it was a rule that within 30 days there's got to be some sort of contact with that client.
Good
You gotta
one.
let them know what's going on because if they don't hear anything from you, they
They
don't. People
start
assume that
thinking,
nothing's going
yeah,
on, but there could be a lot of stuff going on. You're just
yeah.
not
You're working
communicating with
on
them.
it. It's just you didn't really
Yeah,
meet the
and then
client at the moment. So
we
yeah.
always tell people clients that the litigation process is it's a slow process, and we can do everything we can to speed it up.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, if we're in the court system, there's only so much we can do
Hmm.
too. You can do your best to move the case forward,
Hmm.
but you got to wait for defense lawyers. The trial dates are backed up, so you have to communicate that to the client. Definitely.
What's your most memorable trial?
The last trial we did, and in May, no wait, the April. We had a wrongful death trial in April, and that's probably the one that comes to mind the most. It's my first wrongful death trial, and unfortunately, it didn't go our way. Um, but the learning lessons you take from it, it was a very, very tough case looking back on it. But we prepared for it, and we did a good job. And I think the defense lawyer was shook
Hmm.
up. We had a case where someone was, a lady was paying for a ride to go to Modesto,
Hmm.
California, and she was living in Calexico by the border. And, she paid, like, a private transport company to take her from Calexico to the border, and, she didn't end up getting to her destination. She got dropped off 30 miles outside where she was supposed to be. Well, unfortunately, um, she jaywalked when she got dropped off, didn't know where she was at, and then she got hit by a car, unfortunately, ended up dying. So we sued that transportation company because in California, it's a common carrier. If I pay you for a ride, you're supposed to get to where you need to be. So our whole theory was like, this wouldn't happen if she got to her destination. There was a receipt that she was supposed to go
Hmm.
there. CEO said that she was supposed to go there. Um, he didn't know why she got dropped off at this place. In the middle of the ride, there was a transfer that happened, and they were trusted to another driver that had no commercial license, no background checks. So there was negligence there, and the jury agreed that there was negligence. They all 12-0 said there's absolutely negligence in this case, but they didn't believe it. The negligence was a substantial factor or
No
cause
causation.
of that. So three of them agreed that it was the causation was there, and the other nine or eight or whatever they didn't agree. So it was very very I think we're still kind of recovering from that
Hmm.
loss. Looking at we did a focus group on it and we were getting good results. We did a professional focus group in the same county, so we felt confident going in. But talking to some of my mentors, and one of my mentors, Thomas Johnson, told me that it's not a loss. There's only so much you can do. You got to work with the facts you got, and that's a tough case. You're trying to blame another company that left the scene for the actions that this woman took, and there was comparative negligence. You don't jaywalk,
Right.
so we own that up to the jury. Yes, we know that we shouldn't have jaywalked, but what we're saying is that they were also negligent and that they didn't get them to where they didn't get the client to where she needed to be. So talking to the jurors after that case, I think the biggest takeaways were like that case, juries hold you to a high standard. In civil cases, the standard's preponderance of the evidence.
Right.
But after talking to them, they feel like it feels like they hold you to that beyond a reasonable doubt criminal standard. Even though I explained to them this isn't a criminal case, I felt like they held us to a higher standard. And I realized too that um, our evidence is very circumstantial. It's all testimony. And jurors want to see surveillance. They want clear timelines. They want more the phone records, whatever it is. You got to give them
Hmm.
a lot of more evidence. And we just didn't have the evidence they wanted. The evidence they wanted, we didn't have. So we had to think about, you know what, like we did the best we could with what we had. Sure, there's some things we could have did better, but at the end of the day, as personal injury lawyers, we have to do the best with what we have, and going in there, giving a family a voice, that's what really matters. So it was a kind of tough pill to swallow, but I think the learning lessons you get. So now we're like, you know what, I don't get to look for surveillance video. If you don't think that it's there, try to find something. Try to just you want to go into a trial and just overwhelm the jury with all the evidence you got and really approach it like even though it's a civil trial and the standard of proof is lower,
Hmm.
you have to go in there and just you got to show pretend it's a criminal trial. If you're a plaintiff's attorney, prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this is
Right.
negligence and causation. That's my
Right.
mindset is shifted to thinking that my standard's a lot higher. So I think it's overall it's helped me approach my cases differently. people, no one likes to talk about those experiences, but I think it's important. I know everyone wants to post about their wins and how great they are, but you don't learn from there's not much you learn from winning. I think I learned a lot more. If I would have won that case, I would be like, "Oh, of course, I did this and that." But when something like that happens, you sit there and you kind of think
You probably
about,
wouldn't be talking about it today. We would have, like, moved
nah, not
on to the
yeah.
next. Yeah,
So you just
it
learn from your other
stays.
your other
Yeah.
files. You're like, you know what? Okay, this is what we're going to approach differently. So, um, and I think we're all in the same. My team feels the same way.
So
It's
important.
going to trial and experiencing that.
Mhm.
It's kind of bonds you
Mhm.
build with your team. It's kind of like war buddies. Or like, man, we both got lined up and killed by the jury.
Yeah.
That so we laugh about it now. It's like, that's our Navy SEAL crew. We all went down getting hung together. But yeah, that's my most memorable. It's so recent. So it's good. You have good experiences. You have
Mhm.
it's all a good learning process.
But you guys went into it knowing it was risky.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you every
you
time I go to
knew.
trial,
Yeah.
anytime you go to trial, you have to accept the fact that you can do everything you can. You got 12 people that aren't lawyers,
Mhm.
and and then especially we were in a very conservative county too, and our clients were Spanish speaking interpreters, and after talking to some of the jurors, the ones that were even voting for us, even to the foreman that didn't go our way, he was like, people had a hard time connecting
Mhm.
with and so there's that part of it. There's Spanish speaking farm workers, and you have an interpreter, and then sometimes an interpreter, it's hard to connect with someone when you're trying to interpret. Like, it's hard to interpret the emotions. So there's a barrier with Spanish when you have Spanish speaking a trial. Like, you want to convey those emotions. You want the jury to feel those emotions, but it's hard when you got an interpreter. It's not really expressive. So there was a lot of challenges that we had to overcome, but you learn from it. And ultimately, they were grateful we represented them, and we knew we did the right thing.
Mhm.
Sometimes it just doesn't go your way.
If you don't lose, you're not challenging yourself enough.
There's a saying
You know
that if you
this.
don't, what's that saying? In order to be successful, you have to be unsuccessful. And I
Yeah,
think
I believe that.
you scaled a successful business.
Mhm.
You would not be here today. You've had some L's you've taken in your
Oh, for
career,
sure, yeah.
but in order to get to the wins, you got to feel the L's.
And you move on. I mean, it builds resilience really because you just learn, and then
Yeah,
you get to a point where you're like, "Okay, well, that happened. We'll get over it
oh yeah,
somehow," you know? You just start to trust that it's gonna work out,
yep.
and it builds this level of resilience that,
hmm It comes with
uh
building a team.
yeah.
I noticed with I don't like having to fire people. It's not something we like doing. It's not something we like doing. You realize that, hey, it's not really that they fire themselves.
Right.
It's or you're doing it for the greater good of the team. So you
Mhm.
have to, those kind of things as you get older, you kind of realize more. Um, like you said, you've been through war, you kind of seen it. You already see the writing on the wall sometimes, but you get used to,
Keep
you
going.
got so but that's a
Yeah.
part of the path we take as entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Lawyers too, right?
Exactly.
What have you learned about jury trial?
So, first of all, they're fun. Jury trials are very fun. That's why I went to law
Mhm.
school. I realized every time you step in that courtroom, you're taking a risk. And you can be a great lawyer. You can put on the best case you have, or that you're capable of, but you just never know what's going to happen.
Mhm.
And there's some things that are just out of your control. The county you're in, sometimes like the jury pool you're getting
Mhm.
during jury selection, you could do a good job in probing into jury's opinions or biases about topics in the case. But so you might get a panel just very conservative. It just doesn't like plaintiffs attorneys, doesn't
Right.
like lawsuits. So you really just have to do the best with what you have coming in. And there's only
Mhm.
so much you can control. So one of my mentors told me, don't ever talk about a trial loss. You don't say it's a loss. Like, you're in there fighting. You're going to a county you never been to. You're
Right.
staying in hotel rooms. You're going in there doing your job.
Right.
So, in a jury trial, there's a lot of things just out of your control, and you just got to make the best of them. I learned too, like, jury trials are a lot of it's psychology. You're not going back there in the deliberation room and
Mhm.
guiding them through the jury instructions. You just do your best
Mhm.
to advocate, persuade, and you just hope that when they're in that deliberation room, you have some people that you've empowered that are going to fight for you back there.
Mhm.
And you want to make sure that whoever they pretty much during closing arguments, they made up their mind of what this case is about. So you're not trying to persuade more people. You're trying to empower those jurors that already believe in your case and believe in you to go back there and win for you. Because
Mhm.
in a deliberation room, there's going to be some people that are not sure,
Right.
and you got to hope that your clients, though not your clients, but the jurors that are in favor of you have strong enough personalities to go to war with you. So we did this focus group. We did a really expensive focus group where we had like a live feed watching. There's a camera watching the deliberations. They didn't know who was funding the focus group. We did our opening statement. So the plaintiff's in, Eric did a defense opening statement. And when we got to see the live feed, it was crazy because you see like the personalities come out. And there's like always there's one strong person, there's a couple personalities that are on the defense side, there's a strong personality on your side, and there's some people that are like don't want to speak up, but then so you hope that you got some jurors back there that are have strong enough personalities that they're gonna go you're giving them enough ammunition to go
Mhm.
try to
Mhm.
persuade people. So it's psychology.
Mhm.
I think the most I learned with jury trials, it's yeah, you have to be a good lawyer, but a lot of it's just out of your hands and a lot of it's just people behavior.
Are you, like, having to feel the room when you're
Yeah,
like,
definitely. I
okay.
think what I learned like with jury selection, I think what I went to the Jerry Spence Trial Lawyer College last year. And one of the big things I learned was like being really authentic and true to yourself. I've learned that people can sense when you're BSing
Mhm.
if you're not being yourself. So I've learned that you have to be vulnerable and you have to talk about your case when you're selecting a jury, tell them how you feel about it or tell them be honest about things. If the juror's telling you something you don't want to hear, you just be honest about it. It's like, you know what? I appreciate your honesty. Not what we really want to hear, but I appreciate that and be sincere and acknowledge people. I think before I went to the Jerry Spence Trial Lawyers College, I was like, as soon as they said something I didn't want to hear, I'm like, okay, you're no good to me anymore. And I would go to the next juror. Now I try to acknowledge them. I'm like, you know what, you're right. And it's not, I might, you know what, it's not really what I want to hear, but I appreciate your honesty and thank you.
Mhm.
Can you still be fair to us? Can you still listen to the evidence, hear the evidence and put those beliefs aside
Mhm.
and be fair to the plaintiffs in this case? And when I kind of approach it like that, then it changes the dynamic. Instead of being like trying to get them off for cause, isn't it true you're gonna be unfair to us?
Mhm.
And they're like, so when I'm like, you know, okay, okay, I appreciate it. It's not really what I want to hear, but can we be fair to us though?
Mhm. Mhm.
That changed the way I approach jury trials. So just being more authentic. Um, that trial lawyers college taught me to be really you
Mhm.
and just connect with people and acknowledge them. Like acknowledge what people say. I think a lot of us
Yeah.
we hear, but we're not listening.
Right.
You make them, and people can sense when you're not really listening to them. So that was a good thing I learned from that. So we'll keep taking those lessons to our next jury trials, and hopefully we get some some uh some good stuff going.
I think that's just a good practice to have in general. I mean, I tell my team that's how we talk to clients, like,
Yeah.
let them finish what they're saying and listen to them, take note, it's then we, speak our piece, but and
Hmm.
that's just good, I think, advice overall.
Yeah, listening, it's a skill you
Mhm.
have to and being honest. I think what I learned with Jerry Spence that was that was like 3 weeks in Wyoming. We were no cell phone service, separated from our businesses, and it was like almost like
Mhm.
a 3-week counseling kind of process. And I really learned that the truth, like my grandma used to tell me this, the truth will set you free.
Yeah.
And I was like, that doesn't make sense. But
Mhm.
there's
That's
like a
true.
biological advantage when you're telling the truth, people
Yeah.
can sense it. So you might as well be honest and be real about stuff because people can tell, even they can sense when you're
Right.
full of crap, whatever.
Yeah.
So um there is a lot of benefit to being truthful in how you advocate, owning up to the weaknesses in the case. There's a lot of good stuff to that.
Just takes less work. You just show up when you're just telling the truth.
Hmm.
You don't have to worry about putting you just show up,
Yeah.
and your best self.
Even being honest with the jurors about how you feel about the case. I
Yeah.
remember like I was like so like nervous. It was like a big case. I was like, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm very nervous. It's the biggest case of my career. And when you just tell that, it's like so relief. They're like, you just be honest about how you feel about it. And it takes, it's humbling to
Mhm,
be
mhm.
honest and truthful and tell people how you feel to some 12 strangers. But at the end of the day, like, it helps you become a better advocate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
And
sure
I'm
it's in
sure,
your business
yeah,
too,
I'm sure it helped you connect better with
hmm
yours as well.
I'm gonna go back to like the scaling businesses topic because I know we have that in common. We're both
Mhm.
growing our businesses and we both love masterminds. Like, what makes you what makes you invest in like mastermind groups and like why do you do it and what's the biggest benefit you've seen from it?
I can't say, everything happens so fast, you can't say that one thing. I can't say masterminds.
Yeah,
Like, maybe I could have done it without it.
yeah,
Um, but I think one thing I love about it is that I meet people like you, and
mhm,
um people who understand me. It's very lonely. It's very isolating to have your own business, especially as you grow and you realize like people don't understand me. They're never gonna get where I'm
mhm,
coming from. Um,
yeah,
and to just have to meet other people going through the same thing, it's very empowering. Um, and also I mean, everything happens so fast, so you can't really say what led to what. But every time I invest in myself, I get, as long as you like fully commit to whatever you're doing,
yeah,
you're gonna get it back and more. So I believe that I haven't been proven wrong yet in
yeah,
my own
true.
experience. So I just keep doing it.
Yeah, it's true.
My only rule is one at a time. Like, I don't know how some people do like 10 at a time. I don't know how
Some
they
of the
do
guys
it, but I
I
can't.
know, they do like multiple.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like one at a time.
But I just there's some things that some masterminds offer and the other ones don't.
Yeah. But you're also, I think, as you scale, you become more free with your time, right? So you can
Yeah,
focus more on your development.
definitely. No, it's funny you say that. It's so true. Like the entrepreneurial journey, it's a very lonely journey.
Mhm.
And the only people that have been there,
Right.
people that have run or founders, they understand that because like you're trying to figure it out
Mhm.
and you're making the tough decisions. You're trying to grow your firm and you're the only one that's done it successfully until you meet other guys or people that have done it. So
Mhm.
joining those masterminds have been the best decision I made because I can figure it out on my own or I can align myself with guys that are done it and have been through all the problems I'm dealing
Mhm.
with right now. So um I agree 100%. And it's important for it's even mental health. You being around other people, other business people, you feel like, hey, it's not that bad. Like people are going through it too.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to just share, talk about that with the whole team about how lonely you feel.
No, yeah, I mean, and it's
So
not their
they're like,
problem, right? It's not their
that's
problem.
not their
Like,
problem.
we're the one who like
Yeah.
chose this journey, right? It's our
Yeah,
choice.
exactly. We chose our
I
poison.
mean, and there's
Yeah.
perks too, right? So we're not like victims at all. It's
No,
just,
there's a
yeah,
lot of
but
perks
it
to it.
is just part of the experience.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it can feel isolating. And sometimes the team's kind of gearing you here, and you need your mastermind to remind you, no, but you're going this way, So you have to.
hmm Yeah, and having that, making sure you're clear on your vision. It's your business, so you
Mhm.
have to make sure that it's your vision, your business, and making sure there's an alignment. Um, yeah, giving that sometimes just having that confidence, like some of the people you meet give you that extra boost of confidence. Like, hey,
Right.
you can do this. I went through that already. But yeah, the masterminds have been great for me too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And sometimes there's like something you're like struggling with, like you're really struggling, you're thinking about it all day and it's consuming you. And you just show up to one of these events, and like one person, like with one word, just gives you the answer.
hmm
It's like an app, or it's like a person, or it's a thing you do. Like, it's just so, and you're beating your head, So it's nice to meet people in the
Yeah,
same situation, because everyone's gone through something different. And a lot of people have probably already struggled with what you did, and they have a faster answer for you.
exactly. No, that's very true. Yep. Trying to think what else, but no, that's cool. All right. Well, thank you, Sharon, for coming on. I think we talked about a lot of good stuff today.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Thanks, Gabriel, for having me.
yeah,
And it's been a lot of fun.
yeah, definitely. Well, cheers. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome.